Just a couple quick things to go over this morning before I turn it over to everybody else. Some of y'all received a letter from Certain about trailers. Again, that is a mistake. That is being taken care of. We do have a new, may have a new inspector. So that has been addressed at this point. One other thing, Nicole resigned effective August 1. We want to clear up everything that she did. That being said, that leaves us with an open position. We would like to have it filled by the end of the month. If anybody's interested, get with Miss Becky at the office, and she can get you the information to do so. Nicole? Yes, sir. I'm going to hit the roads real quick. As everybody can tell, Plum Tree over by the mailboxes has been pretty well done. Hopefully, we'll get it open Monday. Yes.
The road should be fixed.
We are still trying to get bids for, we have a culvert on Pin Oak, and then we have another one at Pin Oak and Plum Tree that we're still trying to get bids on. For some reason, you know, you call companies out to get bids, they never turn bids in. So I don't know if they're too busy, they don't want our money, or what. It's kind of aggravating, but it is what it is. So. That's all I got. We'll turn it over to John.
Good morning, everybody. John Dwyer. First, I'm going to call for the acceptance of the minutes from our annual meeting back in May. Those minutes are available on the website. All in favor? Okay, the minutes from the last meeting have been accepted. We held an emergency board meeting on August 5th to review the Plum Tree Road situation. As Kevin mentioned, the board voted to award the repair contract to CCC Blacktop. Minutes of this meeting has been provided this early, which should be available on the website. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. So from a secretary for perspective, that's all I have.
Good morning, I'm Jerry Robert. I'm Jerry Robert. Kevin, I think y'all know the things. I have a lot of medical issues, and he's been pretty well running the board. And doing it by himself, I think it's a lot of free labor. Probably coincides with all the other things we're going to use the game. But one truth we've already dealt with, the bulkhead situation, we're going with another contractor who can get it started a lot quicker. Soon as Plum Tree's done, it's fine. And we'll see going to the next one, which it's going to the next one, and then there's holes out there through the land. And two small culverts we're still trying to get bids for. Any of you that have not lived in the country, and believe it or not, looking around you, you live in the country. And it is tough to get contractors out here. Kevin's called, I've called. Then if they come out, sometimes you never hear from them again. But three seasons has been pretty good so far. So that's what we're going with. And they've been a little bit, which I'm sure all of you don't want any more money spent than we do. And that's really about all I've got at this point.
Good morning, I'm John, the treasurer. I'm just going to give you a real quick update
couple of these numbers that we're going to come back in our new business section, and it's going to be very important that you recall those numbers. We're actually doing pretty well. We kind of come back up on collections since my last meeting. I said that we were behind. Honestly, guys, I think part of the reason that we kind of had this is we split up the maintenance and the special assessments this year, so we've had people pay a little bit later than they have historically. Historically, we're not collecting much this time of the year, and we're doing a little bit better as we're going to continue to actually collect a little bit, so we're doing pretty good. So in our cash operating accounts, we have approximately about $190,000. I'll also tell you that we got a check coming our way of about $13,000 for collection on a pass-through account that came in. It's just not been positive yet, so that number's actually a little bit understated, which is really good for us. And that's trending pretty well towards to get us to the end of the year, which is what we need. In the road account, we have approximately $126,000. That does take into account the first payment that we made on the Plum Tree bid. And they brought up, I don't know if you guys mentioned it or not, I think Kevin requested 6 bids on the Plum Tree culvert repair. We actually got 3 bids. We did award it to CCC. They were the low bid. The other 2 bids that we received were $65,000, $54,000, and CCC's bid was $44,000, and don't quote me on this part, $300 something is my point. So by far the lowest one, and they were the one that would actually come out and do it the quickest. So in the road account, we owe them about another $30,000 as soon as that job is fully accepted. So we're realistically sitting on around $95,000 in our road account. If you recall at the last meeting, I made note that the 3 other culverts that we replaced earlier this year, I think they totaled about $132,000. So between Plum Tree and the ones that we've done this year, it's about $176,000, which is pretty much what we expected to collect from the 2024 special assessments for roads. So I know a lot of people are very disappointed that we didn't touch any asphalt, but the reality of it is without that assessment, we would have had probably 4 roads closed permanently in this subdivision. So just wanted to point that out. Section 6 account, we have $41,900, and the bulkhead account, we have $42,300. I would ask that you remember those numbers, because in the new business, we're going to make a motion to do some road repairs to the peninsula. Actually, CCC, who is out here, has done that. We vote on it today and approve it. And then we're also, we're going to go ahead and award the bulkhead contract to have that repaired as well, too. But like I said, overall, we're doing a little bit better on collections. Relative to costs and everything, we're up in a little bit of areas. We're probably going to end up getting $5,000–6,000 over in the trash, and that's primarily the result of that. The 2 dumpsters earlier this year that we added to the dump area. We're up on legal costs. We're having to spend about $3,000 in defense a lawsuit against the POA so far, and so we're going to be spending more on that. And I also wanted to let everybody know that at the next board meeting, we don't have a date set yet, but I'm going to be presenting the 2025 proposed the maintenance assessment, and we'd like to run some ideas about a special assessment to that. We're not going to vote on it today. We're not going to do that. We're going to be presenting that. So, turn it over to John for our new business section.
So regarding new business and following up on Ken's comment about the excess legal fees, first order of business is voting on a filing of a lawsuit against Action Bryant for all legal fees incurred related to her lawsuit and all amounts currently owed to the Cedar Point POA. At the moment, Ms. White is suing the POA, demanding a refund of $4,730.99 related to her payment of 2018 and 2020 assessments, 2018 and 2019 road assessments, and $3,101 in legal fees, fines, and other costs. The background here is in April of 2018, Ms. Wyatt purchased her home. She was subsequently assessed in 2018, road assessments of $300, 2019 maintenance assessments of $451, and road assessments of $300. 2020 assessments of $578 maintenance and $300 road assessment. 2021 maintenance assessments of $600. 2022 maintenance assessments of $647. Those payments those assessments all went unpaid. So as a result, the POA had to sue Ms. Wyatt and begin foreclosure proceedings in 2022 for payment of the outstanding assessment as of that date of $3,176. In April of 23, in order to avoid foreclosure, Ms. Wyatt made a payment of $6,213.17 on her account. That consisted of $3,176 in outstanding assessments and $3,037 in legal fees, collection fees, and other fines. In April of this year, Wyatt filed a lawsuit against the POA demanding a partial refund of that April 2022 payment, alleging numerous accounting errors. Following up on that, we performed a detailed review of the POA's accounting records, and based on that review, it is clear that she did not overpay for 2022 foreclosure proceedings, or 2022 foreclosure amounts. So, on top of that, we asked Ms. Wyatt to provide evidence of any payment she has ever made to the POA. Aside from that foreclosure payment, to date she has refused to provide any documentation evidencing payments made to the POA. So right now, I make a motion that the Cedar Point POA sue Ms. Wyatt for all amounts currently owed, as well as all legal fees incurred in defending the privilege lawsuit. Everyone votes affirmative. It's unanimous. Okay. Second order of business, vote on enforcement of section 6.1B and section 7.6 of the DCCR. As background, section 6.1B states the right of the association provides the POA the right to suspend property owner's right to use the recreational facilities by an owner, and to suspend any service provided by the association to one owner for any period during which any assessment is unpaid. Section 7.6 reads, in any event of non-payment by an owner of any assessment, the association may restrict the right of such non-paying owner to use the common areas so long as such default exists. So basically, these sections allow the POA to ban the use of common areas, which include the clubhouse, the pavilion, the pool, boat ramps, the POA dock, the POA dump, by those owners with past due assessment. So essentially what we're going to do is, for those owners who have made no payments in the prior 12 months, we're going to ban them from use. So notice of this ban is going to go out to these particular owners as per Texas Residential Property Owner Protection Act, section 209-006. Anyone who has been banned and is found using any of these common areas will be subject to a $250 fine per occurrence. I make a motion to begin enforcing these sections. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and one clarification on that. Folks who are on a current payment plan are not subject to this. So they were not deemed being past due. So I make a motion to enforce. Next item of new business is vote on initiation of foreclosure proceedings on those seriously delinquent accounts who are past due more than $1,500 and past due more than 12 months. Also, where the net appraisal value of their properties is in excess of any amounts due. Make a motion to initiate this procurement procedures. Vote. Ayes have it. Voted in unison. Or unanimous. Okay. I believe everyone has received the fees and fines schedule. They've been passed out at the beginning of the meeting. Ken, if you want to read those.
Guys, it's a bit long, so I'm not going to go through everything, but I will summarize kind of the changes and everything that we kind of got into this. Is my point. We tried to take the existing fees and fines schedule that's been filed and is on record with the county, and for lack of better words, simplify it and kind of make it a little bit more clear. There were numerous fees and fines at various rates for one offense, and they changed it to another. So what the whole idea is that basically most of the daily offenses are going to more or less be the $25 amount, and the one-time occurrence are more or less $250. So we just tried to clean this up a little bit. It's been quite a while, and we also added in the basically the prohibition if you're past due, it is $250 fine for using this if you're not going to do offense. So what we'll do here is vote on this. We'll execute this, and then we'll have to report it to Polk County, and then it will be effective as my point. So, do I have a motion? All in favor? This is not a vote for new business, but we wanted to kind of get it out to everybody, and I don't want everybody to start yelling at me right now. But the idea is get everybody thinking and putting together some ideas for the next meeting. We're going to present this to everybody, but we're kind of kicking around the idea, guys. We all live in a 50-year-old subdivision, and just like the rest of us, it's not getting any younger, is my point. And you've got a number of issues in the subdivision which require repairs, new purchases and stuff. And frankly, we just don't have the funds out of the budget, the maintenance budget, to do this. So a couple of the items that we've kind of kicked around on rolling in as a special assessment next year is going to be a more mail and parcel boxes up front. That might be something we're going to do a little bit more research. I know Dan has done some, Kevin's looked at it. We're just kind of throwing this out. You know, that could be $10,000. Frankly, we don't have that in the operating fund to pay for that. Our tractor, unfortunately, is getting very dated, like some of us, and they run about $23,000, give or take. And unfortunately, all of the equipment companies that we deal with require a personal guarantee. And so without a personal guarantee, we cannot get financing because we're on POA. They typically require one portion to make a personal guarantee. So far, no one has been willing to do that. And frankly, the reason for that is that if I, for example, provide a personal guarantee on a tractor note that was 4 years, I roll off the board, there may be somebody who comes on the board next year who says, well, you know what, I didn't think we needed the tractor, so we're not going to make that payment. And then at that point, the tractor company's going to call me and expect me to pay. So I hope you can understand, we donate our time, but I'm not going to donate my personal guarantee. Our maintenance truck, guys, is getting really old and really beaten down, and so we're going to probably be looking for it used. We're not going to be purchasing a new one. We just cannot be in that position to buy a new truck. We're thinking maybe something in the neighborhood of around $8,000 a week. You know, a cab truck with, you know, they can haul a trailer and that kind of thing. We might fix the front entrance fountain. I don't know if you guys are aware or not. We did pull that out. The motor on the fountain is burnt out. Those fountains run around $3,000–4,000 basically. So we might go ahead and replace that. I think everybody agrees that's a nice look for that. And then, frankly, one of the ideas that I said, these are all ideas. clubhouse. During Barrel, we had a lot of people up here. We had some residents who donated a vacuum pool, by the way. I hope it's good. Man, it's got some health. We got out of our extent place. So pray for him, please. But he was kind enough to donate a generator that we were able to keep running up here and circulate the fans, keep the lights on, give a place for some people to go. So the idea is we kind of find a generator to run this place and kind of create a cool space for residents. Because I know that, let's face it, with Beryl and the hurricanes and everything, we lose power at the Livingston a lot. And so it might be good to have that. Again, these are all ideas that none of which is being voted on, has been implemented, or anything like that. Is my point. And totally, those would be around $56,000. Oh, and any of this would require a special assessment to be voted on by the residents. The board does not get to assess this. Okay, guys, y'all will vote on it, just like we do for the roads and the bulkhead, basically. Kind of touched on the roads. We are going to make, I want to address something right now. Jerry touched on it. For those of you that have driven down the peninsula in the last several weeks or several months, you'll notice that we've got some serious damage to that road. Frankly, I think most of it's been done by the trucks that are going up and down that road, is my point. But we're going to make a motion. We've got CCC, who's already in here finishing up the plum tree contract, to bid to basically come in and repair, I think it's 17 spots on Peninsula Drive. Of those 17 spots, there are 7 of them, which frankly are the worst of the worst, and those add up to about $25,000, just so everybody knows. And there's about another 10 spots that Danny looked at and said, if you don't take care of these now, you're going to probably be dealing with them next year, is my point. So the total bid to repair Peninsula Drive is $31,411. They can start work basically next week. Maybe it would take approximately 10 days to do the work. Peninsula is a little bit different because it's a one-way road. It's one way in, one way out. There is no, when you close the road, you can't get around it. And frankly, last time they did work on the Peninsula, we didn't have houses everywhere, so you could drive on the lots. Danny said that they would try to do half the size so people can kind of come and go. And I've asked them to kind of do as much as they can during the week, as opposed to the weekend, because frankly we have more weekenders on the peninsula. For the avoidance of doubt, I want everybody in here to hear the following statement. Your secretary, John McGuire, your treasurer, Ken Schott, have homes on the peninsula. Okay? We're not doing this because I live on the peninsula. We're doing this, Kevin has spoken to me about it. We've got complaints, and frankly, there's some really bad things. And the money for this repair does not come out of the road account. The funds are being paid for out of the Section 6 account. And as I mentioned earlier, we have around $41,000 in the Section 6 account. That Section 6 account comes from an additional fee that all Section 6 residents pay. I'm making the number up to keep it simple for the conversation. If your maintenance assessment for Sections 1 through 5 is $600, someone on the peninsula and on the waterfront will pay $1,000. That $600 of their assessment goes into the general maintenance account. The extra $400 that they have goes into a special account for Section 6 repairs. So waterfront, fortunately, is in really very good shape. So even after we do this, we're still going to have about $10,000 left. The biggest repairs that we would like to make over on the other half of the Section 6 is we'd like to get those fountains in that are the ponds. We actually have both of those. We just frankly haven't found anybody to install them in 20 feet of water. That's the problem with it. So out of the $41,000, we are spending approximately $31,000 on this. And it's like I said, it should get into the peninsula in pretty good shape. So, I'm going to make a motion that we accept bid from CCC Blacktopping to repair Peninsula Drive for $31,411. All in favor? Aye. Now going back to the road, at the last meeting, you'll notice we were a little silent about Mr. Lennox, who was our road committee chairman. Unfortunately, Mr. Lennox has resigned and moved out of the subdivision. So we are publicly making a call for anybody who would like to be considered for the road committee chairman role. Frankly, guys, we need somebody. We would love to have somebody with TechStop experience, engineering experience, someone who really understands roads is what we need, because we obviously have a lot of problems with roads in this subdivision, is my point. And then the last item, I also mentioned the bulkhead amount of money that we have. We have about $42,300 that's been collected so far from the special assessment. Honestly, I do expect us to collect probably a little bit more between now and the end of the year, maybe a couple of $1,000 if we're lucky. But we were originally going to go with Mosley, but I spoke with Mr. Mosley about 3 weeks ago, and we're not on their list of priorities. He said we would be lucky if they got to our bulkhead next spring. Frankly, because of the depth over there, they're going to have to get in the water. They will not get to us in the near term. He said he's got too much other stuff going on. They did not want to get in the water during the winter, frankly, because it's just too deep where they'll have to work. And he said sometime in the spring. So Kevin called ShoreTech, and he's got a bid from them for $40,510 to repair all of the work over at the bulkhead. This is the main one over there by on Apple Grove, not the one back here is my point. So basically we've got another couple $1,000 left over after we pay for this. So they can start in about 3 weeks. And we'll be done in 3 weeks is my point. So we should have a new bulkhead sometime 6-ish weeks. Hopefully before the next board meeting, we'll have a new bulkhead over by the boat ramp is my point. So I'll make the motion that we, and there were a lot of people just quickly, a lot of people did a lot of work on this. It's a little harder than what you think, but in the back and forth, just like some of us said, people are not lining up to work for us, guys. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. But I would make a motion that we accept the contract from ShoreTech and engage them to review the repairs. All in favor? Okay. This is just a public announcement. We got a letter from Chico this week. They've been in the subdivision, cutting down trees. I know that we frankly had a resident threaten the Chico crew. I'm not sure how wise that is to threaten a group of men with chainsaws, but we had someone do that. But just to give you a little bit of color on the matter is, Chico has the right to take down any tree in their right-of-way or a tree which may mean to interfere with their transmission. So basically, with the fact that we have 100-foot pine trees in this subdivision and a lot of the lots are 30 by 70 feet, they can pretty much come in and cut down your trees, guys. And the authority, and I'm quoting this, we're going to put this up and send this out, this is not mine. Authority to perform right-of-way maintenance is granted in the signed membership application and easement agreement between the property owner and San Luis Electric Cooperative. I have power with them too, like everybody does in here, and I sure didn't know that I signed that when I signed up the service, but obviously we did. So, but as part of that, they are a QC, and they are reimbursed for expenses to maintain their facilities. So when they cut a tree down, they get a stated rate of return on that. However, hauling that tree off It's not a requirement of theirs. They can come on your property, cut the tree down, and leave it for you to take care of. I didn't say it was fair, didn't say I had anything to do with it, but I want everybody to know that. So when they do that to you and you're upset, it's just one of the unfair things of life is my point. So we'll be posting this, and if you want to complain to somebody, please complain as you go, is my point. I think that's it. So I think we'll close the meeting, but we'll open it up to you guys for a Q&A session. We'll stick around and have a Q&A session for as long as you like.
So for the question, I will be coming to you with a microphone. I'm watching to see hands going up. I still want to just be patient. We're going to do one at a time. Please make it a question, a brief question, so everybody can hear and understand. If you have a comment, John will be timing the comments because we can't have anybody using up a lot of time. So do you have your first question? If you would just stand so everybody can see you and make your first question.
First of all, I suggest, Jerry, unbelievable contracting and problems are running into is the job is so small. The job is so small with having people to low line. So if you'll try to do that as a group, in other words, do it at the same time, you'll get there. John, I appreciate it, and I'm not an attorney, but I appreciate it if you would check some of the things that you had said, because I remember reading changes in the Texas legislature about 2 years ago that had to do with denying privileges of people to the subdivision and fees that formerly was allowed to be charged that are no longer checked. I'm not an attorney, but it's wise to check before you start this.
Well, we appreciate the advice. We did listen to the council. Council gave us the advice.
Everything that we shared here today has been reviewed by council.
Yeah, please answer your questions in the microphone. Okay, next question.
Why didn't Cedar Point file their taxes for 3 years? And the time when I filed a small claim suit against you, you didn't have the protection of the corporation because you were in default, which means you're personally open for liability, not the association. Anytime anything has been requested that the owners are allowed to know, you guys have refused to produce that. You're using the attorneys as your own personal attorneys instead of using the best interest of the association. Why aren't we collecting fees from Zone 4? That's 190. That's the convenience store and everything else. Where are those fees? Oh, I got it. Why isn't the expansion of the roads not included in the new construction? Why aren't we charging about $7,000? Why are we, the homeowners, getting caught up with the tab for somebody else? Ken, you're the developer. Why didn't you plan for the expansion of the mailboxes? Let's see. Why have the reserves been sold and we have not received any financial from it? You're more than welcome to laugh, Ken, but we would love to see those documents as well. Let's see. Why are we still under a declaration? We're over 80% developed. We should have been done and over with this. Your board members on file with the state doesn't account for Jerry and it doesn't account for Kevin. Why aren't those documents up to date? Because anything that Kevin or Jerry signs off on, is it technically legal? And for the record, if anybody wants to see my paid receipts, I'll be more than happy to show you.
Show what?
I've already turned them in.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have. I turned them in to your attorney. Yes, but you can stop by my house and we can have a conversation.
Send them in.
You got it?
Okay, we had a question. Okay, I'm coming. Who wants to hear?
No. You want to respond to the question?
Okay, it's my turn. I get my 3 minutes here, okay? And I'm going to respond to this attorney, and she
That is
does not
incorrect.
know the law. Okay? Unlike Ms. Wyatt, we've engaged an attorney who actually specializes in POA law, and they've been very clear and very adamant that what we've done is basically follow the law. Ms. Wyatt ran for the board, guys, back in May, and her board things were, I value transparency, integrity, and most of all, accountability. Okay, transparency. This includes posting on social media forums under anonymous names, accusing board members of basically fraud and creating false companies to do business with for the POA. Let's see, we've been blocked on posts so that we can't defend ourselves, and she's basically posted that there's been fraud when there's zero evidence to support this claim. Going into our company's management office and reviewing some of our bank accounts and telling our property management alley that she had found fraud. Okay, to find fraud, if there was any, you would need to compare the journal entries in the accounting system to the bank records, which what she looked at. There is zero, you cannot find fraud doing it that way. It's impossible. She's also posted that someone is not ill with cancer and stating that they're doing it for sympathy and financial reasons, while that person was in the middle of chemotherapy and radiation. Purporting to stand up for your fellow residents when you won't do your fair share while demanding more from everyone else. On more than one occasion, I have stated the single largest problem the subdivision has is people that do not pay their dues. If everyone would pay, we probably would not have to raise the fees for several years. Integrity, okay? I looked this up in the definition of the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Refusal to pay your assessments while your neighbors pay theirs, and you benefit from the POA common areas such as roads, trash, pool, parks, clubhouse, and boat ramps. Only finally doing so the night before foreclosure proceedings are brought against you. And as part of that settlement to stop foreclosure, paying the amount under the settlement agreement, and then suing for reimbursement for a portion of those fees paid, claiming that a franchise certificate is dated and is a reason the POA is not entitled to bill you. We were late in filing our franchise tax reports. You guys know how much franchise tax we pay? We're not for profit.
$0.
Zero is what we pay. And so rather than focus on what everybody else in this room has to do, she's looking for a technicality so that she doesn't have to pay. But by God, you want to drive down our roads, you want to use the dump, your children and your wife want to use the pool, but you're special. You're better than everybody else in here, is my point. And then coming up here and videoing Kevin Boyd, the night before our 4th of July gathering. He and several volunteers stayed up here all night cooking for the POA. You know what? This subdivision, as I said, is 50 years old, okay? It's not getting any newer, okay? Things are breaking. Look around this house, this clubhouse. I mean, we've gone through this. We've got floors with issues and everything. And this subdivision was built in 1982, okay?
Yeah, I was born in
But the reality of it is, it's getting more and more expensive, guys. I know everybody thinks that we're just so nonchalant with raising the fees and assessing and bringing forward this. But if this is a 300+ acre subdivision, and it costs a lot of money to run this place, okay? I've been through this before. I've done it probably a dozen times since I've been treasurer. But, you know, we're going to spend about $480,000 this year here, okay? It's a lot of money. But when you stop and you look at it from a cost side, we spent $200,000 in payroll, and that's having a 8-man 24/7. It's expensive. We've got 2.5 maintenance guys running on mowers and trying to fix stuff and keep up with this. We've got Becky in the office trying to keep us with stickers and all the rest of the stuff. We spend $60,000 on dumpsters. $60,000. I mean, so I don't know where all this excess spending is going. And just for the record, we don't have any debt. I don't know where that came from. We literally, since I've been the treasurer, we have not had any debt. We took 2 PPP loans during the pandemic that were reported to us, and those were both forgiven. And we did that with the idea that basically it got us through the pandemic, but frankly, we did have a lot of non-payers. My point in all this is, you know, the developer that set up the postal was in 1982. There's no responsibility. You go into DCCRs and you tell me where a declarant, a developer, or anybody is responsible for this. It's the responsibility of the POA.
You're on the POA. Take care of it, man.
You gotta pay
Come
your
on.
fees.
My fees have been paid. My fees have been paid.
Now, the reality of this is, guys, we're going to turn this into something else. We don't have, there's not extra money. And you'll notice everybody's bitching at us, and I'm being accused of being a thief and all this sorts of stuff. And you know what? This is a volunteer job. Okay? We need more volunteers. And when we call for more volunteers, that's part of the reason I think Nicole quit. She's sick of this shit after about 2 months already. And people are not lining up, is my opinion. So I'm not going to divert anymore on this, but the reality of it is, we're not a taxpayer. We're not profit company. So, what taxes do we owe? 0. But if you want to use a technicality to skirt what everybody else is paying here, you go right ahead.
Okay, our next question is here, and then it'll be, we've already had one person, so you've got to have a new term before you get back to your original term.
I'm Dan Yoder. The last meeting, you had asked me to lead the post office solution to the postal boxes, which I agreed to do. And a week later, I provided you with a quote to essentially add 28 postal boxes, some of which are 20-something inches larger than we have out there now. And this was a quote which was better than I think Becky agreed. Anything that we've been able to get before, $6,090, 28 new postal lockers. I basically said that with a couple $100, $200-300 worth of wood and screws, that I had volunteers to install them. So we're talking about less than $6,500 to solve a huge problem for the people who actually live here, who are having a terrible time getting important postal deliveries. And we've already gone through that post office is not going to deliver to our houses. So I contacted you a week later with the quote. Becky sent it up to everyone on the board, and I got no response. And I called, and John, you told me that until we got the road problem solved, that this was on hold. So it's $6,500 to solve a huge problem that affects most people who live here. And I would appreciate it if you could approve it, and I hope that I can get that same price, because that was about $2,000 more, closer to $3,000 cheaper than if we had it normally under the regular price. So they contacted me. I replied to them that we're having a meeting today, and I hope that we can get a positive, and then he is going to try to see if he can maintain the quote that we got 3 months ago. So I would appreciate it if you could get a vote and have approval so that we can proceed with that.
So Dan, I want to say thank you very much for that effort. I mean, that effort is not unrecognized, and it is appreciated. As Ken mentioned, funds are limited. That's one of the reasons why we want to have a special assessment for
for exactly that reason. You know, the other issue is we have spent, more than $3 grand in unexpected legal expenses. So, to the extent that we can, we'd love to, I wish I could snap my fingers and we can get it done.
One more thing that I told Kevin that I had people that were willing to pay for this. Not one penny out of the POA.
And the only thing that we were asking is that you credit our POA fees and assessments so that we would get that money back as the time went. So this is a zero interest loan from people volunteering to solve this problem and install it. There is no excuse. I'm sorry, John.
So, but Dan, unfortunately, I was not aware of that. So, let us, I'm happy to discuss further.
Thank you. Sir, you have a question?
Sure. Hi, John Kelly, I'm Aspen and Apple. You kind of touched on this when you were talking about the culvert repairs, but the sinkholes, there's a huge sinkhole in Dewberry and Apple. Since it hasn't been addressed for months, is now starting to wash out that culvert. What's the plan for that?
Got all excited about that. That started out as just a small little bitty hole. I'm like, what's going on? So watch it. Once it opened up, what it is where multiple culverts come together, and the culverts are actually kind of apart. So dirt washes down, and keeps going. And that is something that we were wanting to address and get taken care of. So,
Well, the longer you wait, the worse it's gonna get.
Right, and there's trees falling.
yeah, somebody threw that little tree in there.
No, the willow tree
Yeah.
is green and it's growing and it's long. I live there.
Okay, you have somebody up there that had a question.
I moved down here.
Okay, you moved down here. Okay.
Hi, I'm Smith Weather. I just want to thank you for serving as volunteers. I know it's a tough job, it takes a lot of your time, and you get a lot of abuse, especially Kevin Boyd, who lives here, and he's the one that takes a lot of the comments. People chase him down. And I was really embarrassed about a week ago when I was leaving the neighborhood, and I saw him out there with a shovel putting asphalt in a pothole, and it was so hot that I couldn't even stop my car and roll the window down to tell him thank you. So thank you, Kevin.
Any questions? Okay.
Hi, my name is Nancy. So I have a question just for my knowledge that most of you know I walk all over. So I walk the Peninsula. This is just one question. Because I watched the cement trucks were there and the big holes were there the next day. For myself, I don't understand why they are not responsible for that damage, or the person who's having that home built with them is not responsible. If you could enlighten me on that, I would appreciate it.
It's a question of trying to prove it. To be very clear, we've already had this conversation. We're going to try and fix Peninsula, but there's still some vacant lots on that street, so there will be some, I would assume there's going to be construction at some point, and we're going to try and do a better job of when they come in. We're going to take, basically, maybe we can work with the ACC and find out when a job is going to start, take a picture of the road before they start, and then we can take a picture after they start, and then we can send the contractor a bill. But you're right, we should be trying to do that, but frankly, it's just there's not somebody there to test them. particularly the peninsula, there's a lot of weekenders on that, so you don't, and hopefully we'll get more and more full-time people there, and they're gonna be able to help us do that. But yeah, we need to have people that are tearing it up, hopefully do a better job of sending them the bill instead of us having to eat it, so to speak.
We have a question here, sir.
My name is David Highlander. You touched on this briefly in your handout this morning, the possibility of foreclosures. Past boards have tried to do this and never followed up on it. I think this would be a really good source of income if we could follow up on these people that don't pay their fees. Take their properties. I know there's a lot of empty ones that have been empty for years. If we can proceed with that, I for one would be glad to bid on it.
Do you have a response?
Yeah, that's the intent. That's what we want to draw up the foreclosure here. To begin going after those properties that, one, have outstanding balances, but two, also those properties where the value is in excess. We unfortunately have a number of accounts where the assessments are much greater than the value of the property. It doesn't make sense to foreclose on those. But because of the tax reform that we have, to your point, that's one of the key issues. We want to move forward on those instances where we don't have payers, people that have not paid their assessments, and they still have value in the property. So that is absolutely the thing. The other downside is that takes time. It's a very rigid process that we have to go through. But we intend on doing just that.
Okay, do you have any other first-time questions before we go back to review? Any other questions or comments? Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you guys for, in fact, you said you had to have open meeting. This is the first meeting that I've been to that I thought the meetings act was actually on.
Jack.
And I appreciate that.
The Open Meetings Act applies to government entities. It's not my house. I have read it.
Let me speak to this. You handed out this, what, these restrictions. How are you going to enforce these things? Okay, well, how are you going to enforce it? That's the main thing. I agree with most of these things, by the way. I do not agree with the new home thing. You mentioned the trucks are probably for that. I agree with that. That's where the trucks should be paid for. Again, you made a statement that you have to prove it by financial on fraud. That's not true. That is absolutely not true. Your read Title 7, Chapter 31 of the Texas Penal Code, it says if you give somebody or say something to someone where they're acting contrary to their best interest, that's fraud. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions or comments? Okay.
I was still wondering about the answers on why we're not collecting assessments on Section 4. Also, real quick, you're all one construction company that did Cedar Point Drive. Why did we hire a non-insured, non-licensed person? You just hired Joe Blow off the street, and you paid him over $40,000. Also, my meeting with Allie at Sterling was fully videoed. You're more than welcome to watch it. Ken, I'm also curious as to why I was not allowed copies of invoices. I only saw a select amount of bank statements, and I had a lot of questions about wire transfers that couldn't be answered for. So you're more than welcome to yell at me, Mr. McGuire. I'll take that.
So first of all, you requested an inspection. You didn't request copies.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. So that's why copies were not received today. First, second of all, if you want copies, you got to request them. Then you have to pay.
I did.
No, they have to pay for them.
I have it where he states that I'm not allowed copies. I have that on the phone conversation with you and Allie.
I have never had a phone conversation.
You were on the phone with Allie.
You are a liar. You
You are an absolute insane person.
You can file slander suit on that.
Do you have any other questions? No further
File
questions.
slander suit.
Where's the? So instead of answering questions on the line.
The meeting is adjourned.
Oh, this is perfect. Like the stuff that I'm accused of is